Megawatt Carbon is our brand new top tier full suspension enduro e-bike. It's our all singing, all dancing carbon e-bike. Here it is.
The overall goal for the project was pretty simple, and it was to just make the ultimate carbon full fat enduro bike, loads of power, amazing suspension, and super capable.
So it came about because SRAM came to us with a really cool opportunity. They were working on a really cool new e-bike system, coincidentally at the same time as we were considering doing a carbon e-bike. So this gave us the perfect opportunity to combine those two ideas and make our new top tier carbon bike a SRAM bike and use their new motor system.
When you're designing an e-bike, you get a finished system, all the decisions are made, product's finished, and you're effectively designing how to bolt it onto your bike. Where with this bike, we've been able to design the bike round the product as it's being developed. And that's given us a lot more ability to refine the full package, as opposed to looking at a frame and a separate e-system. We've been able to consider the two things together and optimize one to the other, making things as simple as possible so you can focus on the ride, focus on the trail, focus on having fun, you know, so that the bike is kind of it's not like flying an airplane with 100 buttons. It's simple, intuitive, and you know, just really well integrated. And I think that's something that's pretty new and pretty special. Often when you're designing a bike, you still have some things left that go into the next bike and into the next bike, because we got to hit deadlines and we got to, you know, get product to market. But with this bike, we really, you know, sweated the detail. You know, we think it's the best interpretation that could be made of this system. So yeah, really proud of what we've done.
So effectively, the Megawatt is our e-bike version of the award-winning Mega platform.
The Mega came about really as a function of some of the guys in Nukeproof wanting to make a bike that they wanted to ride. So back 2010, 2011, there wasn't a lot of good short or mid-travel, good handling bikes, slack head angle, steep seat angle, all the stuff that we take for granted. We wanted to make one, worked on the suspension kinematic, and we tested and first rode and raced that bike at the Mega Avalanche. So it was pretty natural to put two and two together, and that's where the Mega was born.
In those sort of days, we didn't really have sort of kinematic programs to help us along, so it was kind of a lot of hit and miss, and we didn't have 3D design. It was all done on paper and 2D sketches, and there's quite a lot of fettling went on with the samples just to be able to fit cranks and chain guides and make it work. And yeah, so we just wanted to make our own bikes that we could pedal up fire roads and bash down the downhill trails. In the Mark I Mega in 2011, every bike has been an evolution. Sort of our in-house abilities for 3D design, kinematic understanding. So basically every bike just got better, got aesthetically nicer, faster.
SRAM are a big innovator in the bike space, and we've been working with SRAM for a long time, both speccing the products on our bikes, but also a very deep relationship through racing and race teams. So, you know, from the beginning of the Nukeproof race team, we've been working super closely with SRAM as a product partner, tons of testing, fork tuning, shock tuning, sharing knowledge and insight on kinematics. And our engineers are super close with the SRAM guys, and we get a lot of help. And we like to think that we give them a little bit of help along the way as well with our feedback and inputs.
It was a really cool opportunity for Nukeproof to work with such a big brand, but it also allowed us to get right to the forefront of e-bike technology. This system, you know, is right on the cutting edge. We've got a brand new system that's the best system combined into what is effectively our best bike that we've ever produced. It's the cleanest, It rides absolutely fantastically. It's got all the features that you could ever want.
You know, when SRAM contacted us and said, you know, we had to sign the NDAs, and you know, we knew we were getting an insight into something pretty special. Normally, as a brand, you get to see stuff pretty early because you got to make decisions about what you're going to spec on your bike. But it's not that normal to be brought into the loop when a product is in development with one of the big brands.
They were learning from us and we were learning from them, and you know, they're expert drivetrain and powertrain engineers, and we call ourselves expert, you know, frame designers, and the sort of two working together, we became a really good team, but worked really closely together. So it was really cool. I think we both learned off each other, and it was cool. Working with SRAM so closely during the engineering process, nothing was set in stone. So we were able to do quite a lot of innovative, iterative design with the engineering department of SRAM, developing solutions to lots of problems that we found through the design process, fitting the motor into our platform, working out the kinematics that our R&D team wanted and making sure it was possible, optimizing the carbon frame design to allow for not only the aesthetic that our industrial design team wanted, but the engineering requirements that we had. All of those things lead to lots of challenges through the process, and it was a really cool project to be part of. Traditionally, we take between a year and 18 months to design a product. In this case, we're really super proud that we had, from the first time SRAM came to us with the Eagle Powertrain concept to having a fully finished rideable test mule, was only about 6 weeks. So we were very, very quick off the mark. We were lucky that we had an alloy platform that we could adapt and work quickly with, and the full team resource got put behind it. And we had, from that point, from the very first day that we got working with SRAM on Eagle Powertrain, we had a rideable sample within 3 months, which was a testament to the full team. I was really, really proud of that. SRAM are awesome to deal with. The engineering quality that they have, the brain power that they put in it, and their physical output is fantastic. We were really proud of the fact that we were the fastest developing partner to work with SRAM. The engineering that we put in, working with the SRAM team, even on the small details inside the frame and collaboratively working at that level, massively improved the end product for both us and for SRAM.
Having an alloy mule was really important, both for SRAM so that they could test their new system and work out any of the kinks along the way, but it also allowed us to try out some geometry, make a few design tweaks along the way as well, and effectively test our product before we had to lock it in carbon.
The alloy mule was for us to test the motor system, but also test the motor fitment and how that would translate to the production version. But we were able to sort of learn an awful lot during that process on how to fit the motor and how to integrate the whole system into that bike. But yeah, for us it was mainly to test the system, make sure it was a good, reliable system that we'd want to actually bring to market. Starting point is whether or not it's an evolution of a current model or if it's from the ground up. But we always start with the kinematic points, is where everything is born from. The leverage curves have to be perfect to achieve the anti-squat, the anti-rise, and all the numbers we want first of all, and then it evolves and it moves on to the next stage. Megawatt Carbon is an evolution of probably the very first Mega. It's just trying to find the sort of little bits. It's sort of cherry picking the good stuff that you really like, and the riders and customers and racers that like, and try and sort of wean out the little bits maybe you're not so keen on. So it's trying to combine all those things together.
The first interaction that you're going to have with the bicycle is the first time you look at it, you know. So that's why our key sketch is a side view. It's because it's the first thing, probably the chances are the first time you see the bicycle is going to be a side sketch. That's why it's so important for us. The industrial design takes care of the aesthetic of the bike, but never forgetting the functionality of the bike. Need to make a bicycle that it can be made, it works very well, and it looks good. And that's what the industrial designer at the end has to do, is just taking in consideration all the industrial constraints, all the engineer constraints, and put them in the most beautiful package that we can make together. That's what we did with this bike. The background of the other Megas is always there. When we started sketching this bicycle, there was a lot of sections of the first carbon Mega that I wanted to keep, and the current carbon Mega that we are selling. There was a lot of areas that we wanted to keep because they are functional, they are working, they are doing a good job, and they are identifiable as our bicycles. So that's something I really like about the Mega. We know exactly in our heads how the Mega should perform, what should do. The simplicity that the Mega has through the years, we have always tried to keep it there. You try to evolve more than change things for the sake of it. The Mega has been always a constant refinement on the design, and that hopefully translates as well in the industrial design. Everything we have tried to do is to keep it obviously current and modern and attractive for the customer, but as well to refine the machine as much as we could.
We're really lucky to have Enrique on the team. His skill set is awesome in combining engineering ability with industrial forward thinking. So we take the design language of Enrique and we merge that with the kinematics that the R&D department have, and we essentially set up a wireframe of all the bits that are needed to make that in 3D, and we work out what can and can't go. Because sometimes when you start doing development, things aren't always as you expect. It's never the case that everything you think can happen can. So the first step is to lay all the pieces out like a big jigsaw and work out where we do have clearance, where we don't have clearance, where we can optimize, where we can't. And then from that point, literally every component on the bike is designed from the ground up. So every bolt, every nut, every connecting piece, whether it's a linkage, whether it's the front triangle, the rear triangle, it's all designed from scratch through our engineering team. We have in-house 3D printing, which has been fantastic. The additive manufacturing allows us to be much more responsive on the design, to iterate quickly. We can try something in 3D, design it on Thursday afternoon, get together as a team, think we've got it nailed, hit print, and on Friday morning we're sitting around the table again, looking at what we've done and optimizing, which means end result for the customer, all the small details throughout the frame are massively optimized, iteratively designed and improved, rather than just coming up with an idea and that being what we have to run with. We can improve it as we go.
Main design considerations for the Megawatt Carbon were to ensure that obviously we can encapsulate the SRAM Powertrain system into our kinematic suspension platform, including some component clearances such as a water bottle. This was done quite cleverly by rotating the motor around the BB area. This was to ensure that the battery was allowed to slide out underneath from the down tube past the motor without having to drop out the motor. This was something that was a must for us, just for the race team, to allow them to undo 2 bolts and allow them to change their battery as quickly as possible. Specifically with an e-bike, you do have to consider the insides of the bike due to cable routing and motor clearance, battery clearance, that sort of thing. We've got multiple things on the inside of the bike to make cable routing a lot easier. We have 4 internally sleeved cable routing along the top of the down tube, and also the tube-in tube ensures that your cables stay well clear of the battery when you're sliding it in and out.
Eagle Powertrain is a pretty unique system. We try to merge our 3 key technologies into one system, which is our pretty well known and established access technology. So people understood that wireless shifting is working pretty well, reliable, fast, accurate. Then our new Eagle transmission technology and the new powertrain technology. And we wanted to merge all these 3 things into one product and having the best afford on the market. As a lot of people probably know, the history of SRAM, it's an American company. We started in Chicago, and at some point we created a drivetrain development office in Germany, Schweinfurt. It took us a long time to analyze the market, what the market is, what status of drivetrain or of drivetrain systems are in the market, and what we can do better than everybody else, because our focus is always to not replicate things or not do the same thing that competitors offer. We want to create something new, and we want to have the rider having a real benefit out of inventions.
Everything is actually our core development in this project was about the full integration of all the components. Of course, we started at a certain point by developing a super strong drivetrain. Actually, that was really the beginning of our idea and of our vision, because we created with new transmission a drivetrain which can really shift under super high loads. And that was the beginning in our AD development, where we said, okay, this is so cool, now we can shift under loads, we can shift kind of unexpected because you don't feel it anymore. We said, okay, now we need to make use of it. We can integrate automatic shifting, so the system can decide by itself when it shall shift, at what moment, at what point, because you don't need to take off loads, you even don't need to care at any point of your riding when you need to shift.
Eagle Powertrain is a holistic approach to an eMTB system. Formally, it's a motor supplier, it's a battery supplier, there's another supplier for the drivetrain and little parts. And we thought we are capable of doing everything, and a system is only as good as its weakest feature. And if all the features and the software, everything is out of one hand, we can create a perfect system that's meant to work with each other component perfectly and communicates on its own level. So Eagle Powertrain is a holistic drive unit solution or drive solution for e-bikes. SRAM and RockShox, we have a simplicity approach. We think it's important for riders to understand the system instantly without reading a book or having a study about the system or any component. So we want to make it really easy, understandable for everybody and approachable. We want to remove barriers for people. So the key feature or the key idea for the system was to make it simple and work faultless, that people can jump on the bike and enjoy it. Let's talk a little about auto shift and coast shift, our unique features. They are really cool, they help the rider to experience the bike ride much better. It's just you hop on the bike, you don't need to use the shifting or the gear pods. You just ride and the bike takes care of all the gear changes. This is a great advantage for every rider, because instead of just using the power and the torque of the motor and keeping in the lower gears and just talking through, the system decides always to keep you on the perfect cadence and uses the full range of the cassette. So wear is reduced, which is an incredible feature, and also novice riders who are not so experienced, who are not used to shift always and be in the right gear, they get a lot of support by the system. But for all riders who are really dedicated and know what they want to do, know what gear they want to be in, you can always override the system and choose your gear manually on top of that. So it's a good feature for everybody. Coast shift actually enables auto shift to do what it's doing. It's pretty simple. It just enables you to switch manually or automatically, switch to another gear, and also the chain to engage the gear without pedaling. That means your crank's standing still and the chainring independently moves and sets the chain in the right gear after the shift action. So it's an incredible good feature that helps everybody and is especially for really, really good riders a huge benefit.
This year is my 5th year in e-bike racing, and before that I rode in a regular enduro. For a long time I rode also the EWS, and for me with the e-bike I found a new kind of riding, a new practice. I really like to use the Eagle Powertrain because for me the comportment of the motor is pretty natural, so it can fit for the racer, because you can find also the power close to the speed limit, 25 km. With a really good torque, you can manage easily the steep climb. So it's not extreme, it's not pushing too hard, so you can really manage and handle your bike. So for me, that's a main and big advantage compared to the competitors. Since last year, since the first ride, I started to develop and to make some feedback about with the engineers, and it's continue. We never stop, still improving, still trying to improve some points. We test a lot of different things. Sometimes it's worst, but sometimes it could be better, so we don't stop.
So working on this for the team has been both super exciting and also an amazing opportunity to learn. Often we're focused on frame design and not as involved potentially in some of the e-system components and how they're configured and how they're brought to life. But with this project, our team have had the opportunity to really learn and increase their knowledge on the battery technologies and how power is delivered, and those are the real fundamental things that make the bike good, as well as user interface and that simplicity. So the people in our team with lots of experience have kind of became experts in the area. So that's a real, I suppose, gift that SRAM gave us by getting us involved in an early phase.
It was great to work closely with all these guys together because they're so passionate about biking, and they really want to do this project, and this helped us a lot to create the bike, to build all the parts around it. It was more like a team effort. It was less than you have, okay, Nukeproof on the one hand side and then SRAM on the other hand side. During the time, everything merged a little bit together, so we're working really closely in a team, and it was a great experience for us.
So we're here today at one of our local riding spots, which some of the best enduro trails in Northern Ireland. And we're here with some of the Nukeproof engineers and product managers. And we have all three iterations of the new Megawatt Carbon. So we've got our original alloy mule, so the very first bike we put the system into. Then we've got our first out of the tool carbon bike with the pre-production layups. And then we also have our final sort of golden test bike, which is an exact replica of what's going into production, with all the final layups, all the final components and specs. So today we get the opportunity to, I guess, see our own progression from the very first bike right through to the final bike, and just validate that all the progress we've made through the development process. It's really important to do all this validating and testing, because you have to make sure you're making things better, because not every change you make is an improvement. So we need to make sure that we're making the bike better as we go, all the little changes, make sure we're genuinely solving the problems, doing the refinements, and that things work in the real world. Well, these trails are nice and mixed, so they're true enduro trails, natural, rocky, rooty, technical climbs. I think it's a good all-around reference point. They're also tracks we know really well. I think that's really important, because you go riding somewhere new, no matter how epic it is, if it's new, then you're not sure if you're testing your own riding ability that day or your own confidence, where if you're riding trails that you've ridden for 15 years, you know every rock and route, and you've just got a real sense of what feels good and what doesn't on the same trail. And we know our customers or riders will use these bikes in lots and lots of different situations, lots of ability levels, lots of different terrains all over the world. So making sure the bike's good uphill is pretty key. We pride ourselves on how our bikes work downhill, so we're pretty good on that side. At this point, all the manufacturing decisions are made. We've been through multiple iterations, and the frame itself and the system and how it connects and how it works, that's all well understood. Right now we're doing a couple of things. So we're making sure that the component spec and all the manufacturing tolerances and the sort of standard operating procedure for our factory to put the bike together, we're making sure they've hit all our quality marks. And that's simple things like bolt torques and grease and the right amount of Loctite on the bolts that need them, and all those little just things that make it easy for our dealers and our customers to to get a good ride experience without any trouble. So really now we're long past changing big things. It's just making sure setup and how the product comes to the end consumers in a good place.
We decided to keep the bike as a mixed wheel bike, with it being a heavier system, with the big battery. It feels a lot more natural, and the added weight of the bike helps the bike carry speed anyway. So it just feels fantastic and neutral to ride. We also really wanted to get some on-frame storage onto the bike, so we've designed that into the door at the bottom of the bike, so you can store, you know, your tools, inner tubes, any of that sort of stuff down in there, where there's a little bit of space.
One new feature we've incorporated in design is the ability to run US Euro style brakes and UK together. Generally there's a compromise with one or the other, so no matter where you're from and what your braking style is, that your cables will always look really neat.
Suspension travel was a real topic that we considered a lot with this bike, and we opted for 170mm on the rear, which is a little bit more than the Mega has and a little bit less than the Giga. And we figured that our customers are only going to have one bike in this category. It's a full fat e-bike with a big battery and a full power motor. And really, with our suspension kinematic on the Mega, it's a very lively ride, but still not compromising on, you know, suspension performance on big hits.
So as a result of their system being completely wireless, you know, we've really only got 3 cables in total. We've got the rear brake, the front brake hose, and then we have one tiny little bit of cable which runs from the rear derailleur into the seat stay. But as a result of that, the bike is super clean. It's one of the cleanest looking bikes that we've developed so far.
It's just been a really cool project to be involved with. It's been one of my favourite projects to date with Nukeproof, and the ability of the full team to come together and something we're all passionate about, really throw resource at, and the end result I think speaks for itself. You wouldn't get this quality of product coming out of a team that wasn't so passionate about the product, and that's been one of the big things for me as part of the team, working on the small details and just really getting a good end result for the customer.
The tight timeline that we've had on this bike really displays how everybody has had to be on their A game for this bike. We've had to make sure that every single aspect of the bike is perfect first time round in order to get it here on time, but also, you know, to make sure that it is living up to the expectations and that both SRAM and ourselves are proud of what we have. And I think we've achieved it. We've absolutely smashed it. This bike is the best bike we've ever produced.